Welcome into the DML Network. It's your boy XPERT, and we bring in the bye week back. We allow users to get on here during their bye week, talk about their team, the schedule, the roster, and their expectations going in for the rest of the season. First up on the show this year, it's the homie Styles, the owner of those Chargers. What's good, Styles?
What's going on, XPERT? What's up, DML?
All right, man. Let's talk, man. You started the year out exactly like you expect, 3-0 going into the bye week. What's the biggest change this year that allowed these Chargers to start off so fast?
Shoot. I mean, a couple of things. First off, I'll say I haven't had any laydowns by any means, but I haven't played any I'd consider top tier opponents quite yet. So it hasn't been easy, but my defense is a lot better. Without looking at the exact ranks, I think I was on Daddy Leagues yesterday. I think my defense is like 5th or 6th in the league right now. Obviously we're only a couple weeks in, but I'm usually down around like 20-25. So getting Max Barber from under in the offseason, huge help. Made a couple upgrades on the defensive line as well. So defense is definitely carrying me right now. Quarterback and running back were suspended for the first 3 games, so just been kind of game managing with Jameis Winston and leaning on the defense.
Yeah, and you talk about the schedule, so we'll look at those first 3 games. You got KP and the Eagles, who by all means, is a banner winner here in the Dynasty. He's been struggling here as of late, but not a walkover game. You had Schemer and the Titans. He's won that division. He's been one of the top seeds in that AFC before. And then you had underrated and Jags. You never know what you're going to get with underrated. So really not 3 bottom tier guys. So right. When you looked at the schedule, did you expect to be 3-0, especially knowing you had the violation? And we'll talk about the violations in a minute, but knowing you had to sit the quarterback, you had Jameis Winston kind of holding the fort down until you got your stud back. Did you expect to be 3-0, or is this one of those things like, okay, we started out great, now we get our guys back, let's make a run?
Probably the latter. Yeah. I mean, I'm happy where I'm at. I did not certainly expect to be 3-0. I would have been happy coming out of this 2-1, getting my guys back. But once I was able to beat KP in week 1, I was like, hey, I got a shot to come out of this. Winston's played really well. I think he has 4 touchdowns and 1 pick, but I'm really just, game managing, running the ball with my backup running back Battle, which he actually just got an upgrade to star. So I'm going to be using him a lot more. But yeah, I'm happy where I'm at. I wasn't expecting it. I'm in a good spot. Got the bye week now. A couple winnable games coming up before I got that division matchup with Sweets. So what has been your biggest, I guess, obstacle when it comes to these violations? We've seen several come from the Chargers organization that just you right. Get the ball rolling and it's like you constantly are stepping on that Lego to start the season. What is going on with the Chargers and the rules? Yeah, well, first off, I haven't had any gameplay violations, so I just want to make that clear. It's not like I'm, doing things that are, I guess it's still breaking the rules, but I'm not doing things that are manipulating AI or any goofy things like that. Really just kind of, I guess, laziness on my part, assuming things a lot. The first season I came in, perfect. I had nothing, but it was more so just, I was almost afraid to do things. So I left everything alone. Once I started getting comfortable, I just, quick look at the rules or, I'll just look in transactions to see what other people are doing and I'll just misinterpret something. This particular thing, at the end of the season when all your practice squad players are signed to computer, as I just cut a couple, I saw that a couple other owners did as well, but their thing was they did it after week 17 before the advance to playoffs, and that's it's stuff like that. So there's a few of them, so there's no excuse, but it's they're all little things.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at this roster, because you have built this team up after taking over for Tone Dog and really kind of stepping in as that interim coach role. and really earned a spot here in Dynasty for the future. But let's look at this roster. Who knows if you got it for the whole cycle, if you're going to be a new team somewhere else. We'll see. But let's start at the quarterback position. Are you happy with Josh Rosen?
Well, he's not my starting quarterback. I didn't. I don't know if you're looking at it now, but my depth chart's a little wacky when running back and quarterback just because I had him benched. So I haven't used Rosen too much. First couple seasons I had Herbert, and then I made that trade with Flair, and I drafted Cody Spitzer. So I've had him. I think this is his third season now. He's my starter. I got him up to 95 throw power. He's 82, 84, and 84 for accuracy. So he's kind of just, I would say, coming into his own to where I think he's a pretty solid starter. I've done okay with him the last couple of years. But yeah, I'm happy with it. And, you know, unless something crazy comes up, he's my guy the rest of the cycle.
So you talked about your running back battle. You still got Eckler on the roster. You got Bryce Love, who's still a formidable back. You got Phillip Lindsay, the former Denver Bronco. This is a loaded backfield with guys that are pretty quick. All are veteran type running backs outside of Battle, who's your youngest guy. Who is the workhorse in this group? Is it still Eckler at 30 years old?
Yeah, it's been Eckler. I've leaned on him a lot. My first season in here, I won the rushing title with them, and then I think the next couple seasons I was in the top maybe 5. But Eckler is the starter as of now. Again, he's benched because he was benched for the first 3 games with the violation. Battle's been my backup with Love. I only picked up Lindsay, just for depth because of the suspension. I'm not quite sure. I might hold on to him for a couple more games before figuring out what I want to do. But, Battle's been the number 2 behind Eckler, getting him up the star. And certainly I'm looking at Battle as the running back of the future. So I do need to get him some more carries. So maybe before it might have been like an 80-20 split. I want to get that probably closer to like a 65-35 split between them two.
Okay. When you look at your offensive line, a lot of youth across the board. You got a couple aging guys, of course. Corey Lindsey at 34 years old, still doing his thing. Trey Turner at right guard at 32. But outside of those 2 guys, really a very, very young offensive line that you've been building over these past couple seasons. Do you feel like as we get closer to high stakes that your run game is really going to be key in this division, a division that's very, very difficult to win?
It has to be. I mean, I have to keep the run game going. When I've been successful in the years that I won the division and made the playoffs, it's been because of my running game. So I'm one of those guys, like if I'm throwing 40 times a game, I'm probably throwing 3 or 4 picks that game. And obviously that's not going to end well most of the time. So I'm not happy. I'm not too happy with my offensive line. I got a couple young guys. They haven't necessarily developed, particularly on the ends. Both tackles are first round picks. They haven't developed the way I would like them to. Obviously this Madden, it's a little more difficult for offensive line to get them progressed. But I've always, the last couple of years, I usually pick up like 1 or 2 old guys from free agency, have them play a season or 2, and then kick them to the curb, and it's just kind of rotating cycle there. But I need to probably, I might go offensive line in the first round this next year too, and see if I can get them ready for the next couple seasons for high stakes.
Yeah, and then let's switch over to this defense because you got some spots, that you're kind of holding on to some of these older veterans. How long does Joey Bosa go for the Chargers?
I'm on the fence. Obviously, you heard the chatter. I've been not necessarily trying to trade him. He's on the block. I've got a lot of offers. A couple verbal agreements where people backed out on. We won't get into that too much, but this is his contract year. He's asking for 3 years, about $24 million a year. I have $140 million in cap space, so I can certainly do it. I have plenty of room. It's just a matter if I end up trading him this season or not. And it's one of those situations. If I can get a good return, I'll do it. If not, I'm perfectly fine keeping him for a couple more years. He's a DN, so if he drops in speed 1 or 2 points, I don't care as much. He has high 90s pretty much across the board. He's going to be good for a couple more seasons.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a big piece of your defense. And you look at the other end in Nwosu, who's also just been a baller for you at 28 years old. But then you flip over to your defensive tackle. You got DeForest Buckner at 31, Tillery at 28. You got an aging defensive line. But then you kind of look at your linebacker crew, and outside of Tranquil, you really have a good group at linebacker age-wise. So do you feel like maybe defensive line and maybe that back end, that cornerback safety position really is your area of need going forward with this defense?
Definitely, yeah. D-line, particularly D-tackle has been an area for a couple seasons now I needed to upgrade. I got a couple older guys in free agency. I mean, they're now, but even my other guys like Tillery, Davis, I mean, they're 28, 29 years old now. So I need to probably address that in this draft. My secondary coming into this year, I would have said yes for sure. I need another key guy back there, a starter. I made some improvements this last offseason. I actually moved Byron Jones to safety this year. Right. He's already got 4 picks in the first 3 games, a couple really big picks too, especially against KP in week 1. I mean, obviously all of his attributes are high 90s across the board. And even with regression, he's 91 speed. I'd be curious to see what that looks like after this season. I still may be able to keep him at safety a couple more seasons. We'll just see what that looks like. But it's always an area in my division. I mean, I got Ruggs, Hardman, Hill, Sweet's obviously, one of the top guys passing. I mean, I have to always be looking at my secondary. I need speed back there. So it's something I always look at.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's take a look at this schedule before we let you get out of here. You start after the bye week, week 5. You got SJ. And SJ has already dropped back and thrown a deep ball before the game even started because that's his MO. Don't worry, because next play's the inside zone for him. You got the Chiefs coming up. Is that a win or a loss for you?
I'm going to say it's a win. I will say, just because I want to be fair, I mean, Tim, he hasn't been an issue for me this cycle up until last season. He actually swept me last season. So some very frustrating games because, just like he said, I mean, I'm playing over top, I'm backing up my corners, doing everything because what's coming. He's play action, he's got Hill and on one side, Hardman on the other side, and whatever side he sees a user in the safety, he's going to throw it to the other one and hope to get an animation. So it's just the way the game is, speed kills. So I'll say that I should get that win, but I mean, who knows? He swept me last year, so I'm not going in thinking it's an easy dub for sure.
All right, week 6, you got JB and the Texans.
I think that's a dub.
Okay, then you have the trap game of your season. You actually have 2 trap games. Week 7 is your first trap game versus the big homie and the Giants. Not because the big homie is a scary opponent, but you may look ahead because you got Sweets 99 and the Broncos coming up next week. So Giants in week 7. Buckle down, that's a W, right?
Just based off what I know and seen around the league, I could say yes, but I don't know if I played him yet, or if I did, maybe it was like once. I certainly don't remember anything about his gameplay, but man, just seeing where he typically ends up at the end of the year, I think I should be able to beat him as long as I'm not turning the ball over.
All right, so that would put you at 6-0 going in to week 8 versus the Broncos. First matchup with the Broncos, that's a win or a loss?
Could go either way.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm always going to predict myself to win, obviously, but I feel like this year, and we know Sweets, he's one of the best players in the league. He's always going to be consistent up there. I feel like we've been kind of going back and forth. It's almost a toss-up at this point. When we play each other, I feel good about it. I still put him as like the favorites to win the division just because I don't typically he doesn't really have letdown games like I do. Sometimes I'll lose to people I shouldn't, where he typically takes care of business. So
that's not true. He just lost the schemer. That's not true.
I knew you were gonna. I knew you were gonna say that. But just over the seasons, like I feel like I have more of those letdown games than he does.
Right.
So I think he's usually the favorite for the division, but when we play each other, I feel like it can go either way.
All right, then you got HBO and the Raiders.
God, I hope I don't lose to him. That's not a good night. It's never a good night.
Styles and I were in the party chat the other night, and I beat HBO, and the very first thing Styles says to me is,
"Oh no, don't mention the party chat. Don't mention the party chat."
Man, I really don't care. Listen, the first thing Styles says to me, "All right, expert, at least you'll be able to sleep better tonight." It's so funny. You just do not want to lose to the Raiders. So a win there. So
last time, a couple seasons ago, he beat you.
Yeah.
And I posted something in the chat, like a meme or something, and you kicked me out the chat. You were so mad. I'm like, damn.
All right. So second game with the Broncos. Since we're gonna flip those, we're gonna give you a loss in that one. That's gonna be the first loss of the year. Then you have a key matchup in Week 11. You got the Dallas Cowboys coming to town. What you think about that game?
It's going to be a tough game. I know you're not happy because the only other time we played, I did beat you. And just kind of, joking around, I brought it up a couple times. So I know you want to get some payback there.
I actually don't remember. I don't remember the last time we played. It's been so long.
We only played, it was a couple. It was only one time. At least in DML. I don't know if we played in Blueprint or anything like that, but it's a tough game. The one thing I remember about the game from you is you just, man, I would have these like 10, 12 play drives, go kick a field goal or, hopefully get a touchdown, and you'd come back with like 1 or 2 plays, 80 yards to Amari Cooper or something like that. And it was just so it just sucked. Like it just felt it was like so hard to score against you, but you could score at any point. So I guess that's why you're typically up there and in the playoffs. I mean, that's a tough game. I would say it's a toss-up.
Then you got second matchup versus the Chiefs, so we'll flip that. That one's an L. Then you get the Washington football team and a guy in KP who's really stepped his game up. And then you get his brother right after that in the Miami Dolphins. And then their little brother right after that with the Colts. So you got a stretch there week 10 through week 15 where you got some tough matchups. When you look at your schedule, and I don't know, maybe I know there's got to be other guys that do this, but I look at my schedule and I go through the games and I say, okay, this is a win, and I add those up and say, okay, I got at least 8 wins before we even start. And then I
do it every year as soon as it comes out.
And then I look at some of these difficult games, like the Dolphins, the Washington football teams, the Broncos, the Ravens, the user in Wisconsin. You look at those games and then you start to think, okay, out of these 6 games, if I can just finish 500, be 3-3. Do you look at your schedule like that and say, okay, I gotta beat the Raiders, I gotta beat the Chiefs once, but man, when I play these tough guys, man, if I could just be 50%.
Yeah, typically I'm the same way. As soon as we're doing the draft and the schedule comes out, I look at it and I'll go through and I'll chalk up my dubs and look at the division games. Usually in division, I'm hoping I can go 4-2, and with that, I'm usually figuring, it's probably fair to figure at very least a split with sweeps. Sometimes he may sweep me, I may sweep him, but I chalk that up to a sweep, and then I'll usually have a letdown game. I might lose once to SJ or HBO, so I'm usually happy if I'm 4-2 in a division. But then I come across these games, like you said, this stretch. I got the Bus, tight, and then Randy 3 games in a row. I'd be glad to come out of that 2-1. Man, playing the Bus, his defense, and it doesn't even matter what league. I played in so many leagues with him and different teams. His defense is always on point. He's always stripping the ball and hit sticking you for fumbles, and it's like, damn, I need to run out of bounds after I get the first down or something like that. He's a tough guy to play. Same thing for tight. Doesn't matter who they're using.
Right. All right. You're sitting the top of the division right now at 3-0. Raiders and Broncos both at 2-1, and then the Chiefs have yet to win a game at 0-3. Do you win the division this year?
I mean, I got a good chance. Looking at the schedule, I mean, you and I just went through a pretty in-depth look at it. I haven't looked at Sweet's schedule by any means, but I finished in 3rd last year. Usually, if I haven't won a division, I'm coming in 2nd and fighting for a wild card. But last year, 3rd, so I get a couple of these 3rd place games. Taz, and well, I guess Tight came in third, but he's still a good opponent. I say I have a good chance. Definitely second. I feel like H-Ball is going to lose, a couple more games next few weeks. It's just going to be a battle like every year between Sweets and I feel like I got a good chance to win it, yeah.
So you make the playoffs. Who in the AFC is that guy you look at and say, if I could just beat him, I got a chance to maybe make a Super Bowl or a deep run here into the playoffs? You play Sweets twice a year, so we'll kind of move him out the way. Is that Addy and the Ravens? Is that Niner time and the Browns?
That's the easiest question. It's Addy for sure. Addy's obviously a great Madden player, a great user, and then you give him, he gets that team with all that speed. I usually feel good about my chances playing everyone. I've beaten Niner time before this cycle. We've only played a couple times, but he also blew me out too. So I think both times I played Addy, he knocked me out of the playoffs once too. They weren't super competitive games. I don't know how to stop his offense. I can tell you that. I don't like admitting defeat or anything like that, but I have no idea how to stop all that speed on his offense. So I've tried everything. I just have to keep trying different things, really.
All right, man. You've been in the Dynasty now this cycle. What is so different about this league from the other leagues that you've been in?
First thing, stuff like this, doing these shows and I just listened to a show earlier today that Chris Murray and Addy and Randy were doing. It seems like it seems like it's picking up a little bit more the way you guys used to do it, but a couple of these things every single week. It's good content. It keeps you engaged. It's fun. And then, we joke about it all the time, but it's kind of like a 14-hour league at this point, 14 to 16 hours. We have events the last couple of days in the morning, and then all the games were done at night. So
yeah,
I think anytime you have that, it just keeps people engaged. Other leagues, every couple of days you advance and you just kind of go about your business. But ending your schedule, I think I did last year, the year before, I think I played Sweets on a Monday, and I played them again on Wednesday. You know what I mean? It just keeps you engaged and your opponent's a little bit better.
All right, man. First episode of the bye week, you get to be on it. What do you have to say to the Dynasty, to your division opponents? Anything you got for them, a message, maybe a threat, whatever you got. This is your opportunity to hype up the Chargers and let us know they coming for the rest of that division. What you got for them?
No threats. I don't want to be in group me all day defending myself, but no, I'm obviously happy to be here. It's a great league. I was down in Blueprint for a while, just kind of grinding and trying to get up here. So glad to be here. Hopefully I'm here for a long time. And, it's a fun league in terms of, my team and the division. This cycle, I only missed the first season and the first draft. So, I have no excuses at this point. It is my team. I built them. Win or lose, it's on me. So I feel like I built a pretty solid team, and I'm consistently in the running. And I'd love to win a Super Bowl, but some hurdles to overcome before I can do that. So I just need to keep making the playoffs and getting better.
All right, man. Appreciate you taking time out of your day, jumping on the bye week with me. And we'll let you get back to worrying about those Chargers and keep that winning streak going. Appreciate you.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
All right, guys, that is going to do it for the first episode back of the bye week. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel on the DML Network, leave a comment. I will make sure I respond to everybody. We appreciate you. On behalf of the DML Network, it's your boy XPERT, and we out.